Okay, so next topic of this chapter is friend functions. Okay, so first I will read out the definition. So later I'll tell you what is the friend function. So here, so in case of friend functions, it is possible to grant a non-member function access to the private elements of the class by using a friend. A friend function has access to all private and protected members of the class for which it is a friend. To declare a friend function, include its prototype within the class, preceding it with the keyword friend. See, first thing is here, in case of class, we have data members and member functions. And in addition to that, one more type of functions are there, that is friend functions. Okay, the type of functions are called as friend functions. Okay, so and it is declared by using the keyword friend. See, in the last sentence it is there. So friend is a keyword in C++. By using the keyword friend, we can make function as a friend function. So last sentence it is there. To declare a friend function, include its prototype. So here prototype means where full code will not be present. Full code of the function will not be present. Okay. So that is in this example, if you observe, if you just look at this class, okay. See, in this class, see, we have two functions here. Okay. See, in these two functions, you observe here. So after the end of the function name, that is int sum my class x, we have put semicolon here. So if you put semicolon without writing full function, so these type of lines are called as prototype. Okay, these type of lines are called as prototype or function declaration. So even for set AB function also we can call it as a prototype. Okay. Okay, so these two are prototype of the function. Prototype of the function sum, prototype of the function set AB. Out of these two functions, sum function is called as friend function. Okay, so sum function is called as friend function. Set underscore AB function is not a friend function. Okay. Okay, so before I go to the in-depth of friend function, so let me explain about something about member functions of a class. Okay, because so if you want to understand the friend functions, we need some more knowledge. Okay, so I'll tell you what is that. Okay, see, when we write the class, for example, class employee. Okay, if I write the class employee, so in this, if I declare the data int a b. Okay, so now these two data are private. So the meaning of private data is you cannot access these variables in the main function directly. Okay. So you cannot access these variables in the main function or outside the class. Outside the class means like, say for example, so if you put opening brace and closing brace, this is called as class. Okay, inside this class only you can use these variables. Outside the class you cannot use. That is one point. That is, if you are declaring data as private. Okay, by default it will be private. See, if I make it as public data, then you can access these variables inside the class plus outside the class. That means inside the class plus outside the class, that is other functions also, including main function. But if you don't declare anything like private, public, by default it is treated as private. So you can access only inside the class. That is first point. You can access only inside the class. And in one more case where you can access these variables is, say for example, if I declare public, say void say void input. Okay, I put semicolon. So this type of line is called as prototype, where you will not see full code. See, for input function I have not written full code, only first line of the function, that is void return type function name parenthesis semicolon. So this is called as prototype. See, now we can write in two ways. Functions in the class we can write in two ways. That is, one is you don't put semicolon here. If you don't put semicolon, it is not called as prototype. You extend this function. How to extend this function? Put the opening brace, then closing brace. So this is complete function. Okay. So this is one way of writing the function. Okay, complete function I write in the class only. Another way is, so you just write the prototype. Okay, so this is called as prototype. After writing prototype, outside the class, you complete that function. Completing means like writing full code. Void input, okay. See, why did I leave space? I'll tell you. Okay. So like this, you complete this code. Okay. See, here what you have to write is, you have to tell this function belongs to this class. Okay. This particular function belongs to this class. Then only this is called as member function. When it is called as member function means when you tell that that function belongs to class. If you tell this particular function belongs to this particular class, then only we can call input as a member function. So how to tell this function belongs to this particular class? Because if suppose if you have two classes, see in one program you can write more than one class. If suppose if I have one more class, say student, okay. If I have two class, then see, I want to tell whether input function belongs to employee class or student class. Okay, so for input function, prototype is present inside employee class. Then I should link input function to employee class. So how to link? After writing void, you write the class name here, employee, then write scope resolution operator. So writing the class name, writing the scope resolution operator. So then we can say this particular input function belongs to this particular class. So it is called as member function of employee class. Okay, understood. So how we can call a particular function as a member function means either writing in this way, that is writing complete code inside the class, that is without prototype, writing like this, complete code. Okay, either you write complete code within a class, or if you don't write complete code, just by writing prototype, right outside the class, you write complete code. Two ways are there. So when you write outside the class, you have to mention the class name, then scope resolution operator. Then you can say this is a member function of employee class. Now what happens is, this A and B variables you can use here. See, this A and B you can use. So for example, A is equals to 10, okay, B is equals to 20. You can write like this. Now we get a question here. That question is, see, what did I say is like, if I don't give here private, public, protected, nothing, then by default it is considered as private. So these two data are private. If it is private, I cannot, it can be accessed only within a class, right? If it is private data, it can be accessed only within a class. Always, if you say security, block, boundary, compound, that means opening, within opening brace and closing brace, there only you can use. Outside that, you cannot use. That is the meaning of boundary. That means you are giving span, okay? Like lifespan, we say, like you are giving the span here. You cannot use outside the class. But still I am using outside the class. See, how it will execute means, how it will treat means, it will consider, first thing what it will consider is input function belongs to class, okay? Input function belongs to class. So only whatever the data present inside the class that can be accessed by the member which belongs to class. Try to understand the sentence. Whatever the data present inside the class that can be accessed by the member of a class. Member of a class means input is also a member of a class. A and B is a member of a class. Input is also a member of a class. For A and B, we call it as data member. For input, we call it as member function. Okay, both are members of the class. Okay, for A and B, we call it as data member. For input, we call it as member function. So, private data can be accessed within a class and within the members of a class. Okay, private data can be accessed within a class and within the members of the class. Okay, if suppose if you are not linking this function to the class, for example, if I remove this, what happens is this input function doesn't belong to the class, first point, because you have not written a class name and scope resolution operator. So input function does not belong to the class, even though you have written the prototype inside the class. Because you have not written a class name and scope resolution operator, this input function doesn't belong to the class. Then this statement is wrong. These two statements are wrong because input function does not belong to the class. So only you cannot access A and B variables. If input function belongs to class, then you can access A and B variables. Then how to make that input function to belongs to the class means, like write class name, okay, then write the scope resolution operator. Then you can access A and B variables. Now let me consider one more function. Say for example, say void display. Void display. For this also I write prototype only. Okay, for two functions I have written only prototype, not complete code. Okay. Now outside the class I will write that function. See, void display. Okay. What I say is see out. I will display values of A and B. Okay. A and B values I will display. Okay. Okay, I will display A and B values. Now, look here. You just observe the difference between input function and display function. So this point, if you understand, then friend function concept is finished. Okay, if you understand this point. So what is that point is, for input function, I have written the prototype inside the class. For display function, I have written the prototype inside the class. That is not complete function. And for input function, complete code is written outside the class. For display function also, I have written complete code outside the class. Okay. I have made input function to belong to the class employee. I have made input function belongs to the class employee. How means it is by writing class name scope resolution operator. Okay, fine. For display function, I have not written class name and scope resolution operator. The meaning of that is, say, in case of input function, you can call it as member function because you have made it like that, writing class name scope resolution operator. So input function belongs to class employee. Whereas for display function, we have not written class name and scope resolution operator. So what I can say is this function does not belong to class employee or student, whatever the class is. How many classes are there? For all those classes, it doesn't belong because we have not written any class name here. Okay, we have not written any class name. So let me remove class student if it is confusion. So it doesn't belong to the class employee. Then if it doesn't belong to class employee, what you can call these type of functions is non-member functions. Okay, if it doesn't belongs to any class, we can call it as a non-member function. See how you can find out whether the function is a member function or non-member function means write complete function inside the class only, or else write prototype, write that function outside the class, and write particular class name and scope resolution operator. Then you can say member function. Either writing complete code inside the class or writing prototype of the function and writing outside the class and making it linking with the class name. Okay, class employee scope resolution operator. See, if you just write prototype and if you don't link here by writing class name and scope resolution operator, even though you have written the prototype inside the class, that function does not belongs to class, so it is non-member function. Okay, try to understand this point. It's very, very important. Even though prototype is present inside the class, but if you have not made that class to belong to the class employee, that function to belongs to the class employee, then it is not called as member function. It is a non-member function only. Sometimes many students will get confusion here because prototype is present inside the class, so I will call display function belongs to employee class. No, just because prototype is present inside the class, you cannot say this function belongs to class. Okay, see, if you want to make this particular function as a member function or if it belongs to class means what you have to do is I have to write complete code inside the class, or else see, this is one method, writing complete code inside the class. So whatever you write, that doesn't matter. You can write anything, okay, or you can leave blank also. Either you write complete code like this, or if you are not writing complete code, if you are writing only prototype, at least make this class belongs to class, function belongs to class, like writing employee scope operator. Okay, either one of the things, writing complete code or making that function belongs to the class. If you're writing only prototype and not making this display function belongs to the employee class, then it is called as non-member function. Understood? Okay. So next thing is, see, now what we came to know is like if you write complete function inside the class or if you make functions belongs to the particular class, then we can call it as member function. Just by writing prototype inside the class, we cannot say this function belongs to particular class and it is not called as member function, it is called as non-member function only. Okay. See, if it is non-member function, understand this point, if it is non-member function, then you cannot access private data. Okay, for non-member functions, you cannot access private data. See, this is non-member function, right? One more non-member function I will write it. You will understand. Okay, better will understand. If I write void print, okay, I write void print and I write these two statements. Okay. And now, see, difference between display function and print function is you have written display function prototype inside the class, print function prototype you have not written inside the class. Only that is the difference. Display function prototype you have written inside the class, print function prototype you have not written inside the class. But both function does not belongs to class, because for both functions we have not written class name and scope provision operator. So this is also non-member function. Okay. So in two ways you can call it as non-member function. That is, if you have written only prototype and not written, if you have written only prototype inside the class and not making that that function belongs to the particular class, or if prototype is also not present and if you are not making that particular function doesn't belongs to the particular class, in both the cases it is non-member function only. Okay. In both cases you cannot access this data because it is private. Only if it is member function, then you can access. Okay, this is the first point. Okay. Next point is, even though it is non-member function, I want to access the data, private data. First of all, it is not possible because the definition of private data itself says, private data members can be accessed inside the class and other members of the class. Okay, private data can be accessed only inside the class and other members of the class. Other members of a class means member functions of a class. Because in class two things are data members and member functions. Private data can be accessed within the class and other members of the class. Other members means functions of a class. But here, see, input function is a member function. Yes, I agree. So you can access A and B value. Whereas display function and print function is not a member function. So you cannot access A and B inside the display and private. But still, if I want to access, one more method is there. That one more method is nothing but in whichever function you want to access the private data, make that function as a friend function. Make that function as a friend function. If it is a friend function, then you can access. You will not get any error. If you are not making it as friend function, remember, if you are not making it as friend function, then at this line and at this line, you will get error. Why we get error is, this is private data. So private data can be accessed only within a class or within these functions. Within a class or within these functions. So I have accessed in input function. That is correct because it is member function. But if you try to access in the display function, it is wrong because display is not a member function. Why it is not a member function? Because we have not written this much code here. So in the first line of the function, I have not written this code. Because I have not written this code, so it is non-member function. If it is non-member function, you cannot access. Okay. But if it is non-member function also, if I want to access, what I should do? For non-member functions also, if you want to access the private data, what I should do? The thing is, make this function as a friend function. Make this function as a friend function. Then you will not get error here. Okay, will not get error. That is the concept of friend functions. I will see the definition. Now we'll get it, the definition. So, see, it is possible to grant non-member function access to private members of a class by using friend. Okay, just now I said that if it is non-member function also, if I want to access private members, then make that class as friend. So only the statement is, it is possible to grant non-member function access to a private members of a class by using a friend. A friend function has access to all private and protected members of the class for which it is a friend. You leave about protected members. About protected members, I will tell you in inheritance chapter. Okay. Only you will think of private. Okay. So a friend function has access to all private and you will think of private only. A friend function has access to all private members of the class for which it is a friend. To declare a friend function, include its prototype within a class preceding. Preceding means before. Precede means always it is before. Preceding with the keyword friend. So that only we have done here. So in this example, for input function, I have not put as friend because anyways it is a member function. If it is member function, don't write it as friend. If it is non-member function, then make it as a friend. How to make it as a friend? Wherever you write prototype, right? So this is prototype. Okay. Wherever you write prototype, before that you write it as friend. Friend is a keyword. Then it becomes non-member function plus friend function. Okay. So you can access data members. See, we will get a question. If it is non-member function, how we can access the data? So the answer is by making that function as a friend. Okay. See, one example I will give. Best example you will understand. See, for your college, if your friends come from other college, okay. If the security guard tells that if you have ID card of this particular college only, I will allow inside the gate. Okay. And your friend will be from other college. If he comes with you, a security guard will allow you, but he will not allow your friend. But if you tell just one word, he is my friend, you please allow. If he allows, that is the meaning of friend. Okay, just like that only here also. Display function doesn't belong to class. Yes, I agree, because it is not a member function. I have not written class name and scope provision of it. But it is friend. So only it can be accessed A and B. So that is the meaning of friend function. Now we'll see example which is given in the document. Okay. See in the class, my class. So what I have done, sum function is a friend function. Okay. Set AB is not a friend function. Then say you observe for set AB I have written what complete function outside the class. Okay, I written outside the class. And for some function also we have written outside the class. Only prototype is written inside the class. Okay. Now you see the comments, you will understand better. Okay, these are the comments. This line is a comment. Okay, comments means lines in a program which are not considered for execution. Only for user purpose it is used. So user should understand the program. Okay, so for that purpose we will write the comments. So sum is not a member function of any class. So why it is not a member function of any class means because we have not written this code, that is linking code. This is linking code. Class name, scope relation operator. If you don't write this one, then that function does not belong to any class. So it is called as non-member function. Next thing, see A variable, B variable I have used in set AB function because it is a member function of a class. In some function also I have used x dot A, x dot B. Why? Because sum is a friend of my class, it can directly access A and B. That is the meaning. Sum is a friend of my class, it can access directly A and B. Okay. See now. Next. See, understanding about this program, it's not like trying to understand what happens inside and all. Only thing is, only you have to understand this thing, this much. That is, a variable, B variable I can use in this function because this is a friend of my class. And one more thing is, see, you just observe this sentence. How I have written, okay, n dot set AB. N is an object, set AB is a function. Understood? N is an object, set AB is the function. So I have called set AB function. How did I call? Object dot set AB. Okay, object dot function. But whereas for sum, you observe this sum function. How did I call? Okay, sum is also a function, right? So whenever function is there, you have to call that function. Then only the function starts working. So calling the function is nothing but making that function to work. Now I have to make some function to work. So here also, so if I use n dot sum, this is normal procedure, object dot sum. But whenever you make the functions as friend functions, you need not use object. Directly you can call. Say for set AB, have used object dot n is an object. Okay, because of this statement, my class n, class name my class n is an object. So object dot set AB. For friend functions, you need not write what do you call object. Okay, so we will see explanation here. So what is the explanation present here? In the above example, some function is not a member of my class. However, it still has full access to its private members. Also, we can notice sum is called without the use of dot operator. That only we have said. So sum is called without the use of dot operator. Because it is not a member function, it does not need to be qualified with the object's name. So whenever you make the functions as friend, you need not use this format. Format is object dot function name. This format we need not use. Okay. Okay, it is not compulsory. So whenever we call the functions, generally we use this concept object dot function name, your n dot set ab. But if it is a friend function, directly we can write function name, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, semicolon. Directly you can write that, only they are telling. Okay. So here is the working. You just see how it is working. So n is an object, n dot set ab is a function. 3 and 4 are the values we are passing. So 3 is copied to I, 4 is copied to j. Again, I is copied to a, j is copied to b. So a and b are the data members of class. I and j are the parameters. Okay, here you don't get confusion. You should understand the terms clearly. I and j are the parameters, that is formal parameters. A and B are the data. A and B are the data members. From parameters, we are copying to the data members. So for object n, we are getting two values, A and B, 3 and 4. Okay. Similarly, so when you call some function, so n value, n is an object. Okay. N value is directly copied to x value. X is also an object. See, whatever the value you are passing, that value data type and receiving side, it should match. See, if you observe here, n dot set ab, 3 is an integer, 4 is an integer. So int I is an integer, j is an integer. So 3 will be copied to I, 4 will be copied to j. So it is matching here, correct? And I will be copied to a is an integer, j will be copied to b is also an integer. But when you come to sum of n is an object here. N is not a normal value, n is an object. So here written, here n is an object. On receiving side also object should be there. So x is also an object. So how x becomes object? You see my class x. My class is a class name. X is an object. So whenever you write class name and variable name, that variable name becomes the object, or we can say identifier. Whenever you write class name and identifier, that identifier becomes the object. So here x is an object. So object is copied to object. So n is copied to x. That means whatever the values present in object n, same values will get in object x. So whenever you copy object to object, yesterday we saw that is object assignment. When you copy object to object, whatever the values present in right hand side object will be copied to left hand side. So here whatever the values present in object n will be copied to x. So my class x, when this line is executed, the object x is created. When it is created, we'll get 3 and 4 automatically. Values 3 and 4 automatically we'll get it, because from object n it is copied to object x. Okay, and that value is returned on the output. Okay, so that value means x dot a plus x dot b. X dot a is 3, x dot b is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. So output is very simple. Output will get only the value 7. But understanding this program is very important. Okay. So once again I'll tell you, n dot set ab means 3 is copied to I, 4 is copied to j, in turn I is copied to a, j is copied to b. So in object n we get the values 3 and 4 for variables a and b. Sum of n means n is an object, so it is copied to x object. So sending side is n, that is object. Okay, actual parameter. Formal parameter should also be object. X is an object. So n is copied to x, that is object n is copied to object s. When object n is copied to object s, whatever the values present in object n, all values is copied in object x. So object n contains, that is a value is 3, b value is 4. Same thing, object x also contains a value 3, b value 4. When you calculate x dot a plus x dot b, 3 plus 4 is 7. So that value is returned back to the function. Okay. Okay. So just go through this